setting up right now.
Ooh.
And it says meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. So first off, sorry everybody about the time. Jordan and I started talking and then didn't realize what time it is. So huge fail on my part. So welcome to another evening with the Otherworldly Arts Collective with Artist Conversations. I realize that it's not a Sunday. We're trying to accommodate to get a hold of everybody. So we're trying it on a Wednesday, and tonight we have Jordan. So hi, Jordan.
Hello.
So I've known Jordan for a pretty long time, and she is absolutely fantastic. And she is a multimedia artist. And will you introduce yourself and what kind of artist you are?
Oh yes, I'm Jordan. I made Wondercult. It's kind of like a fantasy jewelry, candles line. I don't know. It's a lot of things. But yeah, so I have some of my shop information linked and everything.
Mm-hmm. So when did you you've been from what I understand, you've been making art like your entire life.
Yeah. Yes.
So
go ahead.
So you've started this store a long time ago, the Etsy, and you were making stuff like for sale and like going out for like a very long time. So what made you start selling like all of your art pieces and moving into Etsy?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been doing it for a little bit. I was just realizing I was looking through Facebook memories, and it was 5 years ago with the Unicorn Art Show. And that's sort of a year before that, I started with Otherworldly, and that's kind of when I started selling. And then I found you guys. I don't know how I found Unicorn Art Show. There was one before the one that I joined. I think I was part of Unicorn Art Show 2 or something, maybe 3. And yeah, so it just sort of took off after that. So I made things, but I never sold it for years until probably 6 years ago.
So, okay, just like I realize that I'm going to be divulging just a little bit more information. And so when I met you, like I vaguely remember you coming into the studio when we were doing the Unicorn Art Show 2.
Yeah.
I think your hair was blue.
Yeah. I think it was like blue and black or something.
And I remember I handed you my laptop to fill out the form and the laptop died.
Oh, actually, yeah. And it was probably my fault.
So this is the joke with Jordan, is that technology like corrupts around her. And that was my first time meeting you. And I don't know where you came from. Is that you were just like, here I am.
I know. No, it's crazy. The other day I was at the grocery store or Target or something, and the machine malfunctioned. And then it also happened at the post office, and like everything breaks around me that is like a computer, and I hate technology. So it makes sense. So maybe I'm making it happen. I'm incredibly bad at computers and everything. So that that just follows me. But yes, I remember that day.
So, okay, like, I'm sorry, that's so funny. So when you came to the Unicorn Art Show 2, like, obviously, like, I'm gonna make an assumption where it's like you found your people.
Yeah, yes.
Like, you were already kind of creating these fantasy, like, pieces, and, like, you do it well. Like, I feel like I see a lot of things out there that are kind of, like, knockoffs of what you're doing, like I feel like you're super like I've heard this when it comes to like jewelry and things, like is it a trend or is it the beginning of an art movement? And like when you start to see copies and duplicates that exist like out in the world, you have to wonder, is everyone getting on trend or are they just copycats?
Oh, right, yeah.
So when you see people like out in the world, like starting to, imitate what you're doing, like, how does that make you feel?
Oh, I usually just like move on to something else a lot of the time. Like, yeah, I've noticed, and I think it's sometimes like a hive mind experience, like, when everyone is having the same experience at a certain point in time, like everybody kind of my age, we kind of hive towards the same thing. And I feel like, like with my planchette necklaces, like I'm sure I wasn't the first person to come up with that. But, once I noticed that it was a pretty popular thing, I kind of move on to something else. Cause then I'm like, oh, did I subconsciously see that somewhere? You know what I mean? And I always try to make things my own too. But yeah, I just sort of moved from medium to medium. Like that's why my Etsy store is kind of empty right now. Cause I just I sell out and then I make something else completely.
I
So
will say that you are one of the artists that almost constantly sells out at our shows.
thank you. Thanks.
There's been times where it's like we haven't made it through the night and your items are gone.
Thank you.
So
Yeah, definitely like more of a vendor than an artist, so that's when I'm like, am I an artist or a vendor? More so a jewelry maker.
well, so that's are you craft? Are you a vendor? Are you an artist? Like a lot for me, those things are definitely like blended,
Right.
like I don't believe that there's a separation. You can't just say that you're just a vendor. I mean, you put a lot of time and effort and work into every piece that you make.
I do, thank you.
And I mean, you're obviously like hitting us all like, on like our sweet spots because like I said, you sell out.
Thanks.
So you're like, you must be pretty observant of like what this hive is doing.
I guess so. I don't even like know what's cool ever, really. Again, technology is not my favorite thing. I try not to be on the internet too much. But yeah, usually I do a pretty good job with selling things. I noticed it's harder online these days because I feel like usually in person I can sell things really well because I think a lot of my art like kind of matches me and like kind of like looks like me. Like all my stuff just kind of has like the same color palette and everything. I really put my personality into each piece. But yeah, I've noticed like from an Etsy perspective, I don't, it's kind of harder to make sales online. I think it could be too like the competition of literally the whole world on Etsy.
Yeah.
Pretty sure countrywide or, worldwide. I'm not really sure, but yeah, it's a little bit harder to make sales these days without the show. So I certainly miss them. Can't wait to be back together soon. Hopefully next year.
Yeah, me too. I mean, like, we're trying to come up with ideas that like if the pandemic like keeps moving on, which like at this point we make the assumption that it's going to. So
Yeah.
then what can we do to make it the safest for everybody like moving on? And we don't quite have the answers yet because we just don't know,
Yeah, right.
But I mean, going back to your stuff, um, Etsy, I know it has changed. It's definitely like I'm not on Etsy as much anymore. I mean, I'm broke, so that's probably part of it at the moment. But like, I always say that there was a time where like when I graduated college, it was coming out of the recession, or it was coming into the recession, I should say.
Oh, right, yeah.
And like, my growing up was essentially like, well, if I get a better education, then I'll get a better job and I'll start moving out of like the class that I'm in. And that didn't happen. I ended up going into the first recession that we had in like 2007. And then during that time, it was like that's kind of when Etsy started rising. I mean, I realized that it was prior to that, but as people like lost money and then they're like, well, I'm not going to give my money to Walmart. Like, I want to give my money to like somebody like that, like I know, and that it's going to be worth it. And then like, the rise of like crafting kind of came back. And then I feel like that's also like what started spurring the moments of like craft beers and boutiques and everything. Granted, the economy slowly like got better, not for me, but for like other people that exist. Yeah. And I see it in like examples in everything. We went to handwriting letters to cursive, you know what I mean? Like to different types of typography. And I'm so curious and I'm not asking you for an answer, but like if you're already like Etsy's a different place, like what could be next? Like what would be the best thing for you and your items to like sell for you?
Oh yeah, I don't really have a huge opinion on Etsy because I wasn't very active with it until this year. I always had one just because I felt like I had to. Like as a vendor, I felt like I had to have some sort of like a storefront to put on the cards and everything. But I mean, lately after the new moon market that happened this last weekend, I've made a lot of sales. So I think more people discovered it. So that's really great.
Good.
But yeah, I definitely wish that they had something that took less fees. Etsy, because Etsy kind of takes a lot of that. So probably what's a website would probably be even better. It's just nice to have that traffic of Etsy where with the hashtags and everything. And
Do you have a website that has the ability to have sales on it?
I think so. I think if there's a few different kinds. There's a few people I follow on Instagram that use, I think it's like Big Cartel or something. I don't really remember. But there's like other ways to sell your art, I think with less fees and everything. But I still do, I like Etsy. I'm still kind of trying to figure it out. I'm no expert at it. I've had it for a long time. It says like 2015, but I had it for a long time, but never filled it. So that's why it's kind of like, it looks like little sales, but I've been on there for a long time. But I didn't start listing things on there till probably 2 years ago. It was more so events that I sold at.
Just so that like, since people may not be completely like familiar with some of your work, I'm going to share my screen so I can show some of your artwork. Just take 1 second. Oops. Let's see. Let's go to, how about we just, not now, Etsy. We'll go to the Etsy page first since we're talking about it. And there's one thing that I want to point out that I think is just really good is that one, you have really spectacular photography, like of all of your items.
It's my iPhone 8 Plus.
Yeah, look at that fancy iPhone. The other thing is that you create a scene with your items. I mean, this isn't just, you know, a mushroom and a pendant. This is a mushroom in its own little forest.
Thank you.
You know, and it's like that sells it for me. It's like, no, I want to be that mushroom in a forest. That's me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And like, even from what I know of you, like, it is not just Jordan. You come with an entire scene around you. Like, every piece of you is like a living piece of artwork. And then everything you produce, you don't think about just that one thing. It's like you're 10 steps ahead already of where that piece is going to be, what it's going to look like, what scene it's going to be in, and probably already how you envision like your audience or your clients or your customers to get them. Go away, Etsy. I'm not signing up for anything.
Oh, but thank you. I do really love aesthetic. Like aesthetic's really important to me. As you know, as I was your past housemate, I like to have like my living space, everything really heavily aesthetic and just kind of set the vibe and like kind of create my own little world. That's probably why I'm totally okay in quarantine and just kind of, you know, I didn't really mind not leaving my house because I like to make it a magical place.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very big into just creating like a whole scene and it's kind of like a prettier world.
Well, can you talk about some of the items that you make like on this Etsy page?
Oh yeah, so it's very limited right now. I don't have many things posted because they kind of sold, but I have the potion candles, and those ones I try to have them be very clean. So it's like an organic hemp wick, soy wax. I kind of cleanse my space before making them. So it's like a little bit of energy work, and yeah, originally I had made them for myself because I've been always pretty into magic and just like self-care. And yeah, my friends were like, you should sell these. So I started making those for sale, but pretty much anyone can use them, even if you're not into energy work or crystal work or anything. They're just pretty. I like the aesthetic of them.
So
parties.
I have a funny story with your candles that were not this specific batch, but a different batch. Is that I was sitting there talking to another artist, and it was, I hope Matt doesn't mind, it was Matt Bear. And I was sitting there and I was like, wow, Matt Bear smells like roses. And I was like, that is so sweet. What a nice man that would like wear female cologne and smell like roses and walk around. And I was I was like, you know, this is I'm a bad person for having assumptions. And then I was like, Matt, you smell like roses. And he's like, I thought you smelled like roses. And I was like, no. I was like, and we couldn't figure it out until we looked down and there's a box of your candles between us.
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
So here we were both thinking that we smelled really good.
Yeah.
And it was actually your box of candles. And we laughed so hard.
That is hilarious. I did not know that. That is super funny.
So just so you know, two random people thought it smelled divine.
Well, awesome. Yeah, the candles are usually a really good seller. I'm happy that people can enjoy them and they're pretty and they smell nice. And yeah, the rest of them, the newest, I'll just talk about the newest things.
Sure.
Because the rest of them, you know, it's just like soap. Fun fact about that soap though, it's not a mold. The amethyst, I hand cut each point to make it look like an amethyst. I didn't even know that there was molds available that would give me that same look, but I still hand cut it. Like the heart obviously was a mold, but there's little crystals on there. I think if you kind of do the slide, I think there's an arrow to your right of the picture. Yeah, or one of those. I think there's like a side view, but I like hand cut these crystals, which takes a really long time, but yeah, so those are kind of a pain in the ass to make, but they're pretty.
Jordan, you sell that soap for $5. How long does that soap take to make you?
Well, it's one piece, but I know I was actually just thinking that because I have an order right now and I was just making it tonight actually. And I was like, I should probably buy a mold or something. But here I was hand cutting soap. It's kind of therapeutic anyway.
So what do you carve it with?
With I don't know what kind of knife it is, but it's just like a really sharp little kitchen knife that I use only for soap work.
Dude, you're blowing my mind. I just assumed this was a mold.
Yeah. And I also dusted it just to add like a little bit of magic. Like I always love glitter and shimmer, so I added that to the soap as well.
I feel like as somebody who has handled your art for many years, like I demand you raise that price. I'm not okay with you selling hand cut.
Actually, as I was making one tonight, I was like, wow, I only am selling this for $5. But yeah, maybe after today. The newest ones that I made over quarantine are actually the mushrooms, which a lot of them sold out. I have more pictures actually on my Instagram of everything I've kind of made in 2020. But yeah,
see if we can find a mushroom. Oh, Jordan, they're amazing. I didn't see the mushroom.
Thank you. And those are really little sculptures, basically, with epoxy sculpt. So, yeah, I know earlier we were talking about like what's crafting and you know what's fine art. Not saying these are by any means fine art, but it's like with my jewelry, I do kind of try to take it a little bit further than crafting. Like I don't really like to, you know, just like buy things and glue them together. I usually like to make them myself, like sculpt my own little mushrooms, and have each of them be different. So yeah, those took a little bit and they're hand painted and the detail kind of got lost, but that's something I did over quarantine.
I don't think the detail is lost. I think that they're amazing.
Oh, they were super vibrant before I added like a resin top. and then it kind of made them more earthy tones, which is fine, but they had a lot more of like a natural look before I did that. But artist mistakes, it happens.
Are they mistakes? I mean, it's more like you're learning.
Yeah.
First time doing it, then like.
Yeah. And I haven't really seen these before, so I don't know how other people do them, but I didn't want the moss to fall out. The moss is a lot more vibrant before I did the resin overlay, but now they're super durable and they're like weatherproof and everything. But
nice.
Yeah, they're all tiny little micro sculptures.
I want a mushroom necklace so bad. Well, okay, should we, where should we start first? Should we talk about Cthulhu Corn since like this was for the Unicorn Art Show?
Oh yes, the my favorite art show. Very sad that we couldn't be there in person, but I'm happy you guys made it a digital art show. I was at work the night that it went live, but
We
yeah.
we will have it, it's uploaded to YouTube and we're almost done with our website. So once the website's done, it'll be up there that anybody can check it out anytime.
Oh, nice.
Little bit more time, guys. But how did you make this?
I broke off the legs of a carousel horse from the thrift store, so it's pretty much repurposed. Not entirely, but it's pretty much repurposed. I epoxy sculpted a tail, and the tentacles were really hard to make. I did a wire base first. I sort of, where did I put that progress picture? I don't think I posted the progress picture, or maybe I did actually. I think it's on my Instagram. I think there's like a before and after. But yeah, so you can kind of see like what it was. But it was just like this really kind of gross green, old musical horse. I don't know what you call that, jewelry box horse. But yeah, so I just added a whole bunch of resin, glitter, seashells, crystals, real amethyst points, and I added tentacles because I don't know, Cthulhu corn. I don't know why I came up with that, but I just wanted to.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. I
Um,
like it a little creepy. Like I like things a little bit creepy, like whether it's bone or like adding tentacles or anything. Like I like pretty creepy things.
and all of your color palettes, I mean, like, if even if you just zoom through, everything is very well placed together. Like you always have a very good sense of like what's gonna match each other, you know? Like,
Yeah.
did you make these seashells like at the same time that you made Cthulhu corn?
Yeah, I did. That's funny. Well, because all that was for the Unicorn Art Show. Because I had started the Cthulhu Corn, I think like in February when I knew the show was coming up. So that's like back when I thought that there would be an in-person show before everything. But yeah, so I kind of made all of those at the same time. And they all kind of like matched together as a collection, and they were all to be sold at the show. But now they're just, a lot of them actually are gone. They all sold except for a few of them on my Etsy page.
I have one.
You got one. Yes.
I was so excited. Is this you making the bath bombs and the soaps?
Yes.
Here?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about a little bit more of the bath bomb process and the, okay.
Yeah. So the bath bombs are also, I use like a lot of like energy work, and so they actually have a crystal in the center of them. And all my crystals too, I always kind of like charge at the moon. As you know, Danielle, when I lived with you, when I lived in your house, I always had like this little bin of crystals that I always just kind of charge all my materials, because I just want it just like really, really pure. And so yeah, so it's kind of, when you bathe the crystals too, it sort of amplifies their power. And so that's why I like the bath bombs with crystals inside. I don't know that anybody else has done that before. But yeah, so as the bath bomb melts away, you get a nice little crystal. And it's more of like a circle shape. So they have quartz inside.
Just so people, I should have probably zoomed in on that. In case people don't know what they are, these are them.
Yep.
Okay, and then we have the mushrooms.
Oh yes, the crystal mushrooms.
And then, so Jordan and I both share a love of Disney World.
Obsession.
And we have, first off, her and her partner go to Disney World quite often. And then you've gone to all of them, right?
Yes.
So across the world.
All of them, yes.
Jealousy.
It's like kind of embarrassing. It's pretty embarrassing.
No, why would it be embarrassing? And the thing is that you make these ears for everyone, and for people who don't understand like the Disney fetish,
Yeah.
like the ears are important.
They are, yeah. The ears are really important. And after you've gone to Disney, even just in the States, like the Orlando one and the California one, you see the same ears over and over again. And I don't know, after a while, I was like, I don't want the same ears everybody else has. I want my own. And so I made my own floral ones. And then, like, at the park, they were a hit, except for I didn't have any cards or anything. I just kind of made them for me, not for anybody else. But so I don't have like I should probably make more of them so I can actually sell them countrywide. But yeah, for now, I just sort of commission them for my clients and friends.
And again, this is the thing about you, Jordan, is that you start creating something and then later I'll see it. So after Jordan started making these ears, Juan and I had gone to Disney World, and then Disney World started selling them.
Oh, I didn't even know.
I was like, wow, those look a lot like Jordan's ears.
Dang it.
So let's see, you got another pair here.
Oh yeah, those ones are the Rapunzel or the Tangled inspired. Those were made for a client who specifically requested the Tangled color palette. So I just sort of watched the movie and I matched the same colors and patterns and for her commissioned ears.
Are you taking commissions now?
Yeah, I would definitely now. They take so long to make, so I never really have them in stock. And I feel like, well, they probably match the aesthetic of my Etsy, but it's like, I didn't know if I should make a different separate Disney kind of store.
Yeah.
Instead of mixing it with like mushrooms and nature. But yeah, I think definitely I would take commissions now.
We'll go through here. So this is kind of, if anybody has seen Jordan's kind of stuff at our shows and stuff, this is roughly like the setup that you have. I mean, I will say that it's usually a little bit more squished because we're lacking space.
Everybody usually, yeah. And I bring that huge tree everywhere I go.
We actually like the tree just because that if somebody's trying to steal something or touch it, we can see it.
Oh, for sure.
Because then they have to pull it. And it's like, we're trying to get more, as time goes on, hopefully we'll get more display cases and stuff. They're just expensive and we don't have anything to store them. So,
oh, for sure. Yeah, there's so much money.
And then besides the ears, you've made a ton of like different types of headpieces.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think, was this unicorn? I think this was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've always been really interested in cosplay, and making things for that. And for a little time I was making things for cosplay. I don't really have time anymore, but that's sort of like what I started out with. At your unicorn shows was the headpieces, because that's just like that's all I knew how to do at the time. So yeah.
Go through some more.
I think I've made about 4. I still make the headpieces, but I just sort of, again, I get bored and I go on to a different medium. And so that's why this year I went with more of like a 3-dimensional Cthulhu corn.
Yes. I know it was lovely. It was like, I just love to see when people start branching out and like doing all this other kind of stuff. I still am just blown away that you hand carve all of this.
Oh, yeah, actually there's the picture. Yeah. I think that's like kind of an old picture, like 3 years ago. 2 years ago, I don't know, but yeah, that's what I do for that soap. I place each of them in like I pour the mold. I pour like the soap into the mold and then I add those individually.
Jordan, I'm like, you're crazy. You're crazy.
Mold making. That'll be on my to-do list for the year.
And then, so I don't know if, so many moons ago, I got a tiny pendant with the seahorses in it that I love so much. And I feel like you've had kind of like this image that has the tiny terrariums. And I don't know if that's completely accurate.
No, yeah.
A little piece of garden right there.
Yes.
But you had the seahorses before, and I don't see a photo of them But what made you start doing these little guys?
Oh yeah. I obviously I love gardens. If anyone like, if you've even seen my Facebook or Instagram, I spent pretty much all summer in the gardens. I love tea parties and gardens. One thing that I do often is kind of harvest flowers on nature walks too, because I'm just pretty much always in the woods in my free time. That's how I even spent this whole entire summer, just kind of collecting flowers before everything died. And so yeah, then I dry them and preserve them. And later during the winter months, I'll make little tiny gardens in those little glass terrariums, which I have a ton of. So I'll be doing that probably later this year when I have more time.
You're so fabulous. I feel like you have more things than this.
I do. Yeah. My problem is, again, with technology, I can be kind of inconsistent with posting. So I'll share it to my Facebook and then I'll switch to Instagram and then I'll put it in my stories, but I just sometimes forget to post.
Let's see if I have some. Oops, pardon me. Oops, there we go. There's some more. Did you make this?
Yeah, I did. Yes. That one I did not get to finish. I wanted to, but that was during a time when I was traveling a lot and there was a deadline. But yeah, it was supposed to be like rose gold, of course, the theme of everything.
Yeah.
Have some like leaf work, but it still worked out. It still worked out well. I just never got to complete it, but it still worked with the aesthetic of this photo.
I love it so much.
Thank you.
Let's see, where else did we go?
Yeah, and I think a lot of my stuff too, you've just seen at the sales table at events, because sometimes I just don't even, I make things really, intensely for a week, and then I forget to take pictures of it. And then, then it sells, so I never really get an image, but that happens more often than not.
So again, like I feel like because I've known you for so long, like I'm divulging a little bit more information than I probably would from other people, but like you are one of the cleanest, neatest humans I have ever met in my life. And I think that anytime that I see this stuff, I mean, most humans that assemble pieces like this, when you have glitter and glue and tiny little things, you would, I mean, I've seen their workspaces. They usually look like a little magical like magpie nest. And you don't have that.
Like, no, like messes stress me out to like a fault. Like sometimes I just have to have an art day and just make a mess and then clean it up immediately, because I am like a freakishly clean person, but like to a fault. Like it's not even a good thing. Like messes drive me crazy.
You are also extremely organized, like so organized. So I'm sure that you have like all of these pieces like separated out in boxes. I mean, like, does that help you with sales? Like, how do you figure out how much to price something like as you're doing it? You know what I mean?
Oh, right. I'm really bad at pricing. I feel like a lot of the times I'll see a flaw in something and then I'll like knock it down like $5. You know what I mean? Like I do that so often. I am incredibly bad at pricing things. I probably should charge more for like the effort that goes into it. But yeah, I should. What I've done recently is just sort of like actually log how much I put into something.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like this box costs this much money. But a lot of the times it's hard for me to do that because I am kind of a collector. And so even like with bones or anything, I never have a specific plan for it. I just sort of collect little bottles and flowers. And then one day I just make something of it. So it kind of gets hard to actually price out, what it would actually cost.
Right.
What it should cost.
I mean, I get that, but it was, I mean, I still think that your soap that you sell for $5 that you hand carve, like could be $10, easily.
Oh, right.
Easily.
Well, thanks.
And I totally want a mushroom necklace so hard, Jordan.
Yes, I will make more.
I didn't see them. Usually I'm like, ooh, I want that. Jordan. Uh,
Really fast. I think they went within like 2 days. And it was like people I didn't even know contacting me on Facebook. So I just made a post and they sold almost immediately.
mhm,
But I
mhm.
have more supplies for that though. So that's good.
And so that might be an indication of, up your prices just a little bit. Like even if it was like $1.
Right. Yeah. To cover shipping, that's the thing I noticed with Etsy. Because even when I ship things out, it has a specific style and, a special sticker and special packaging. And so a lot of the times I'm like, wow, I made $4.
Jordan.
So I'm bad with numbers and money.
And I realize that like, when you're doing this, this is also like um meditative, cathartic. Like you definitely do a lot of energy work with everything that you're doing. Like I realize it's not just about the price tag on everything with you.
No, yeah, I definitely like the process and like it's soothing to make jewelry too, I feel like. It's just sort of, yeah, therapeutic for me more so.
Yeah. I would like to show, if it's okay with you, I also want to talk about the hair.
Oh yeah.
So I think I have it right here. So Jordan is this is Hair by Jordan Scarlett right here.
Yep.
Uh, and she does some of the most amazing hair treatments. And like, can you talk about some of this too?
Oh yeah, sure.
How does
Um
this?
yeah, I really do. Like hair, obviously, I originally went to college for art, and like after 2 years, I realized I probably wouldn't make a whole lot of money with it. And so I kind of switched to cosmetology school because I've always loved hair and makeup. And this is like now like 9 years ago or so, um, 8 years ago. And so yeah, it's kind of nice that I didn't waste all my money on the art classes. And it kind of comes through with painting hair. And like it uses a lot of color theory, shaping, and even brush strokes also. So stuff that I utilize. I'm not much of a painter now. I did study it in, college, but it kind of stressed me out. It would just become muddy. But for some reason, I can paint hair really well. And that color theory makes sense to me, probably because I'm a lot more interested in it. Like I can't do painting on paper like you can, Danielle. But but yeah, so this is just a lot more of a medium that I'm comfortable with.
And like, this isn't, just so that people know, this isn't one person. This is multiple clients. Like it's hard to tell from the back of like the head and everything like that.
They never want their faces in the pictures. It's such a bummer.
So usually to get this kind of color, like let's say something like this, just because that like, I make an assumption that not everybody that's watching would understand what this is. To even get that blend from like going from a dark to a light, that can be really challenging, right? With somebody's hair.
Oh yeah, in the beginning, my balayages weren't the greatest. Like when I first started out, it took like yeah, again 8 years, well like 5 years later to actually get that blend right and just have it very soft.
And then you also have to deal with every client has different type of hair.
And history, yeah, and hair history, like box color. Just it's always correcting something. It's a challenge always. So again, I'm so happy that I had my art background to be able to know color theory, understand undertones, all of that, like even brush strokes again, and just knowing the placement of things. Like I don't know that I would have had that without art school.
Jeez, that's so neon.
Yeah.
Goodness.
I think that was like 8 hours too, because we switched from like sunset colors. to the neons. So you need like a pretty blonde canvas for that.
So, and I don't think that people really understand that like to get that color, 8 hours, that's 8 hours of your time to
Yeah.
do that for somebody. So how many times did you have to put on color, and then how does the process go?
Oh, usually I just have to strip the past color
Okay.
without damaging the hair, of course. So yeah, I had to strip the color a few times, get it a good blonde, retouch the roots, and then dry it and paint it. And she was so wonderful too. I feel like a lot of the times, if you have that right client with you, it doesn't even feel like 8 hours. Like it did not feel like 8 hours. Who this is, Billie Jean. Actually, she is a photographer, a really good photographer. So we just sort of talked art the whole time, and yeah, so it was just so easy to be with her, and she was such a great client to work on for that.
They're just amazing. Look at that.
That rainbow, we know I love rainbows.
So how hard it, like I see things like this and it's like, how hard is that to actually get to completion? Like when you start washing your hair and everything, how come it doesn't fade into each other?
Oh yeah, they get really cold water. So that helps. And it depends on the products that you use. I use a line specifically where that doesn't happen. It was like a lot of trial and error. So yeah, I just sort of kind of choose specific color lines that I know aren't going to bleed and they're just going to kind of lock into place.
Nice. And again, like when you're talking about like color theory and stuff, like Jordan, you are very good at color theory. Like in everything between like even your hair and everything that's here, like you're really good. I mean, look at the richness of like these mushrooms versus like the pastels that are here. And I know that like you like to go towards pastels because that's something that you kind of like gear towards. But like you can bounce over to any color that you want. Like even for myself, like my color palette sticks within kind of a certain range, and like I live there. That's where I go. But
Oh
like
yeah.
you can go wherever you want and it seems comfortable for you. I mean,
Yeah.
when you went here, you didn't make them pastels.
Right. Yeah, I definitely thought about it, but I was like, no. Try something different.
So when you sit there and say, no, I'm going to try something different, like there's how often do you have outcomes you're not happy with?
Oh, sorry, I lost that last part.
I said, how often like do you have an outcome that you're not like happy with?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think these mushrooms were, I mean, I'm still happy with them. But yeah, I think that was one of those moments. Like when I add, it's so, I loved it before I put resin on it. So, and you probably know this with art too. You're like, why did I do that? Like it's so beautiful up until you do the last step and then you regret it instantly. So that happens too with new things, but it's fine. Like it's nothing anybody else would probably notice except for myself. Like the wearer has no idea. Like I even sold some and they're like, oh, I love these. They wrote me later. They're like, I absolutely love these. But they were a lot more vibrant initially. But yeah, and I guess it just attracted more of like a buyer that likes more muted tones, more earthy tones.
Ugh, I love that. I today I posted something in the Otherworldly Arts Collective about all these beautiful mushrooms I found. You should totally look at it.
Yeah. And I do love I love mushrooms. Um just like the shape of them. That's even kind of how Wondercult got its name. Because like Wonderland too. Like I was just kind of thinking of fantasy culture, so it just sort of like melted together Wondercult. But yeah, just like Alice in Wonderland and just like the look of mushrooms, and I just love like cottage vibes and everything. So
Oh, that makes so much sense.
yeah. It's such a stupid reason I don't bring it up that often, but
No, it makes sense. It's not stupid. It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So, and then let's see. I think I have it. So this is more hair painting, just to give it. Oh, that's awesome. But I also wanted to talk about your skulls.
oh yeah.
So you have, these are also like pieces of art that you make, and these are real skulls, right?
Yes. Yep.
Where did you get them?
I always collect skulls. They're always gifted to me. I love like beautiful but like dead things. Like I always like things a little bit creepy. Before I had more of like my pastel aesthetic, most of my life I was very goth and dark, more so emo, just like super, super dark and like brooding. So it's just kind of funny as I got older, my style changed, but I still kind of hold a little bit of that. I love goth culture to this day. But yeah, I just sort of still fuse it with with me. But a lot of people just gift me skulls all the time, or if something dies, I'm like, my dad thinks I'm so weird. I'm like, bury that so I can dig it up next spring. Because I will use the body. So I all my skulls are found or gifted. They all naturally deceased. Like, you know, I never want anything to be killed for sport, you know, and I make sure everything's ethically sourced and everything. So yeah, usually their gifts are found myself.
You know, I until I started doing the shows and we had more and more taxidermy pieces, like I was really naive about even asking that question. And I realized that most of our artists, like after I've talked to them, like I feel like they're in the same vein as you, where it's like, you know, I think in Maggie's like, artist conversation, she was talking the term vulture taxidermist, where you just you take what's already dead, you know, like you don't actively go and kill it because it's just, to me that sounds more ethical than like actually going out and doing it, but I guess I don't know.
Yeah, yep. No, yeah, it's like definitely a good thing to check for. I would assume nobody kills things for art, but oh, I have 10% battery. I'm gonna charge my phone. Um,
That's okay, we're almost done anyways. we
oh,
got
okay.
we got 10 minutes.
Oh, perfect. Maybe it'll hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, even the other day, I was walking with my art friend, Rachel Gerard, and we found this cute little fluffy worm. This is before the snow. And I was like, she's like, oh, do you want it? And I went to go grab it and it moved. It looked like it was dead, but it wasn't. And I was like, no, I can't. It looked like maybe somebody had squished it. It was maybe on its last life. I should have maybe put it out of its misery, but I didn't. But yeah, I like there's no way I would ever kill anything or, you know, for my art. So it's always found, always collected. I'm kind of like a dead things hoarder, bone hoarder.
I love how Rachel is like, hi, I found you this dead thing, do you want
Oh,
it?
she knows. Who knows? Again, my friends know.
How did you make like the texture and the roses, and what about these crystals on here?
Oh yeah, so those are also some of those crystals are craft crystals, but some of them are because I don't want to waste all the good stuff because points are kind of expensive. But it is a repurposed frame. A lot of my stuff is repurposed. Like, I always try to just repurpose things again, like my Cthulhu corn. I love thrift shops and frames. And then I used epoxy sculpt as my texture to sort of adhese it to the frame. And then there's, you can't even tell from here, but there's resin fastening it even further. I don't know if there's like a different angle, but yeah, so it's like resin and epoxy sculpt, kind of like what I used for the water there for the Cthulhu corn, and glitter. Glitter is always mixed with the resin.
Oh, these are just so amazing.
Thank you.
And again, your color palettes. I mean, I wish there was a closer one of this. So I remember that one with the teal and everything. It's just like it's something that people want in their houses. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's a little bit scary, but you made it like just comfortable enough with like that color to be like, no, 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 it's totally fine. Don't worry about it. It's gonna
Pretty.
go.
And that's what I like too. Like I like bones to be pretty again. I really love animals. I get along with animals a lot better than most humans. So a lot of the times I try to like honor them by making them a framed piece. And yeah, just making them pretty again.
Jordan, I can't remember. How much do you usually sell these guys for?
I think it was around 60. That was the Oddities Art Expo, and they all are gone. But once I get more stalls, I'm kind of out right now, but I'll be making more.
Yep. I mean, I could see him go for 100.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be too much of your art mom. You do what you need to do.
You should be my art manager, though, for real. I do not know how to price things. And that's probably why they sell out so quickly.
Well, and that's another thing. Like, do you want them to sell out, or like, do you want to, I still have I have a couple of friends, like their houses are my storage units. Like my artwork is all over their house because I don't have space for it, because not everyone can afford a $2,000 painting. And they're huge.
I love your paintings.
Thank you.
So good.
Thanks. I was talking to Lindsay, and she was kind of getting a bug in my ear that it's probably time to hit the paintbrush to the old canvas pretty soon, but I'll get there.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if there's no event, you're kind of like, what's the point? That's usually my motivation too, is events,
Yeah, we're gonna work on some stuff. We're trying to think of even though Christmas isn't my favoriteest thing in the whole world, so John, and I know you're gonna love this. John found me a Dark Christmas Tales book.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And we might do some sort of Christmas thing just to put it in your ear of Dark Christmas.
Oh my gosh. I love that idea. I also, hate Christmas.
I was like, no, John, no Christmas. And he's like, come on. He's like, look, we can make it dark and scary. And so he brought me this book. And look, even this one, Summoning the Sun.
Oh my God.
So
I love that.
It will eventually happen. But oh my God, we're almost out of time. So is there anything that we missed?
I don't know. I think that covers most of it. Again, there's a lot of things I haven't documented that only you or people at art shows have seen. I think we covered everything, most of it.
And if people want to talk to you during this pandemic time, what's the best way to get a hold of you to if they want to buy something, or if they have questions about you as an artist? Where's your favorite medium?
Usually oh man, because I kind of use the art Instagram that I have listed there.
Okay.
It's not very active as far as posting goes, but I'm on it a lot, just creeping on other artists that I follow.
So everyone should go and follow Wondercult Collective up there. And let's see. I don't think that you're gonna have to check through Facebook in a little while to check what's going on there, in case people have some questions. And then besides that, I know you're gonna keep making wonderful, beautiful things, Jordan, and I really appreciate you doing this with me. It wasn't terrible, right?
No, it was great. Thank you. Thanks for asking me even.
Yeah.
I'm honored.
Your stuff is amazing.
Thank you.
And I really one day we will all be, it will be, we'll get there.
Yes.
So, you ready to have a good night?
Yes. I don't even know what time it is right now, but
it is 9:51.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So
good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you, Jordan. I love you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to call it a night, lady.
Bye.